Former Minister for Works and Housing Collins Dauda and 4 others have pleaded not guilty to charges including causing financial loss to the state in the Saglemi Housing Project. Mr. Dauda has been charged with misapplying public funds and also causing financial loss to the state. And Accra High Court granted self-recognizant bail to Mr. Dauda, the first accused person, and asked him to deposit his Kenyan passport with the court registrar. Mr. Dauda and 4 others have been charged with a total of 52 counts. My colleague Kwesi Paka-Wilson has been monitoring proceedings in court. He joins me in studio now. Paka-Wilson, good to see you. Who are the other 4 people who have been charged alongside Collins Dauda? Okay, so Aisha, we know that the successor of Mr. Collins Dauda, that is Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, was also charged. There's Ziblin Yakubu. He was the former chief director of the Ministry of Works and Housing. He has also been charged. And the executive chairman of Constructura OS and OAS, Coniclas, has also been charged. And finally, one Mr. Angelo has also been charged. Now, this morning at the court, the judge, Justice Comfort Tasma, well, I'm not getting the name right, but then the judge used almost about an hour to read the 52 charges against the 5 accused persons. Now, when she calls you, then she will talk about your charge. Then you respond whether you are guilty or not guilty. And all the 5 persons, but all the 52, indicated that they are not guilty for... So the 52 charges? The 52 charges. Wow. And so shortly after that, the Attorney General, who was in court himself, read the fact of the matter and indicated to the court that out of the 5, it is only Mr. Collins Dauda who is a member of parliament. He holds a constitutional office. Okay. And so he must be given some preferential treatment. So he suggested to the court that since he's a member of parliament, they should give him a self-recognizance bail, so that at least he could continue with whatever he's doing and make himself available for the court proceedings. However, that did not come without a condition. Then he added that the court should compel Mr. Dauda to deposit his passport. Now, this is the reason he assigned to it, that for the effective facilitation and the swift movement of the court proceedings, it will be very important for the court to limit the travels of Mr. Dauda. But then the lawyer for Mr. Collins Dauda, that is Thaddeus Sorry, had some objection. He said he did not oppose to the self-recognizance bill, but rather the issue about the passport. And he says that Mr. Dauda is actually a member of the Pan-African Parliament. And so if he's a member of the Pan-African Parliament, from time to time, he would be required to travel outside the country to discharge his duties. So if you seize his passport, obviously, that will make it difficult. Exactly, that will make it difficult for him. But the AG insisted that Mr. Dauda should deposit the passport because if he is not controlled, he might delay the court process. So at the end of the day, the court agreed to the position of the Attorney General, and then she granted the Mr. Dauda the request about the self-recognizance bill, and also asking him to go and deposit the passport to the court registrar. Was Mr. Collins Dauda himself in court, or what was his demeanor? Yeah, he was in court. He was wearing what you call a kaftan, the white one. Looked very calm. He came in the company of the minority leader himself, Haruna Idrisu. The chief whip was also in court today, Muntaka Mubarak. We have a spokesperson, that is Eric Opoku, was also there. Your very good friend, Dr. Ayeni, was also there to support him, including some party executives like Asami Jemfi and Joshua Kamba. But the other 4, Aisha, let me just run you through the charges that the court, the bill conditioned by the court. Now, even before the judge came out with the bill conditions, the Attorney General pleaded with the court that the bill condition should commensurate the charges leveled against the 4 accused persons. So after listening to him, the judge then said that, well, the second accused person, that is in the person of Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, was granted bail in the sum of $65 million with 2 sureties. He is also required to deposit his Ghanaian passport to the registrar. The third accused person, as I mentioned, is Blin Yakubu. He is the former chief director of the ministry under the John Mahama administration. He was granted bail, also in the sum of $65 million with 3 sureties. And then the Andrew Clocanas, the executive chairman of Construra OS. So this is the company responsible for the construction of the housing project. The man was granted bail in the sum of $179 million, and with some 3 sureties as well. And then finally, Novi Tete Angelo was also granted bail in the sum of $13 million with 2 sureties. So these are the bail conditions. In fact, just before we came on air, we were told that Mr. Dauda has complied with the bail condition, and the others are also currently going through the process. Lawyers for the second and the third accused in court had raised concerns about the CID's bail condition. They were actually suggested to the court that since the CID bailed them, because years ago, a year ago, they were being investigated by the CID. And so there was a bail condition for them. So they wanted the court to use the bail condition by the CID to effect this particular bail condition. But that was dismissed by the court. So today, as we know, the 5 accused persons have been granted bail, but however, with huge sums of bail condition, which many are saying that they might not be able to even meet it. But however, we are monitoring the situation to see how it goes.
And after the proceedings, you spoke with the minority leader, Harry Nigeria. How does he feel about this decision of the court? Aisha,
he's very disappointed. He feels government appointees under the Mahama administration are being persecuted. And as a matter of fact, at the time the court is on legal vacation, they are leveling charges against Collins Dauda. And he was questioning why the hurry, why the desperation. And he alleged that somewhere in 2018, May 2018, the government under the leadership of Samuel Atachia as Minister of Works and Housing made some payment to the contractor, and yet no individual under this administration is being prosecuted. However, persons who did no wrong in the execution of the Saglemi Housing Project are the ones being prosecuted. So he believes it is frivolous, aimed at victimizing and intimidating members of the government appointee, and for him, they will not be intimidated. They remain undoubted that at the end of the day, Collins Dauda will emerge victor of this particular case. So he is confident that the case and the charges against Collins Dauda will not stand the test of law. And at the end of the day, he will be vindicated. So he's only saying that the NDC members should be assured that indeed Mr. Dauda did no wrong, and as a matter of fact, nothing is going to happen to him.
And Mr. Odame himself, who's been arguing that Collins Dauda should submit his passport, he's been responding to the minority leader. What has he been saying?
So, Aisha, you know that there's a general rule within your profession that if you're a lawyer in a case, you are not allowed to grant interviews to the media. So when the Attorney General stepped out from the courtroom, we had wanted to get some reaction from him. All he said was that this particular case is a landmark case. He wants to make the point that if you are a public office holder, you should be accountable to the people. And it's the reason he has taken this case to the court. We can listen to him.
So, Honorable, officially the accused persons, have been charged formally. What is your case against them, sir?
I think the case for the Republic is as read out in court and contained also the statement of charge that were disclosed by me in court today. I'll just not speak any further, just to say that I'll tell you what the case is about. The case is about holding public officers to account. It's about ensuring that there will be a proper and efficient use of state resources. That indeed, if you're a public officer and you're entrusted with any brief, any funds or resources allocated to you, must be used in accordance with the purpose for which the funds were allocated. And simple as that. So the case is about ensuring that there will be adherence to due process, and ensuring that persons trusted with public office and public power exercise responsibility for their actions. That's what the case is about. Thank you very much.
So that was Godfrey Dame there, the Attorney General. But what has brought us all here? What's the background to this whole case?
Asha, you recall that I did a report somewhere in April talking about the Saglemi Housing Project. Now, there's a contention that the project is completed and it's habitable. That's the position of the NDC.
Okay.
But the NPP on the other side argue that it is not habitable. It's inhabitable, actually.
Okay.
And so the current minister responsible for works and housing, Francis Asensio-Boakye, just a few months ago held a press conference and indicated to Ghanaians that we need additional $32 million for the completion of 1,500 housing units currently stationed at Saglemi.
Okay.
Now, the 1,500 units itself is the problem, because E.T. Mensah, during the era of John Mahama, somewhere in 2013, went to Parliament to procure a loan facility of $200 million for the construction of 5,000 housing units.
Right.
Now, according to the NDC, now there's a little back and forth with E.T. Mensah and the position of the party, including colleagues Dauda and others, that E.T. Mensah, in the works agreement, indicated that the project will be built in phases, actually 4 phases, and that government was supposed to procure land, construct roads, drainage systems, sewage system
As part of the project.
Part of the project. That is
for the 200 million.
So the 200 million, the issue about the construction of roads and sewage system were not factored into the 200 million.
Okay.
That's
the argument from the NDC.
That's the argument from the NDC,
Okay.
and particularly from E.T. Mensah.
Okay.
The 200 million itself were just about the construction of the 5,000 housing units without the construction of roads, sewage system, and drainage system. But the NDC party, including Eric Opoku, who speaks for Collins Dauda, have argued that the agreement was that government was going to make provision for land and also put together the drainage and sewage system. But at the time they procured the money, that is the $200 million, government did not have funds to do that which he had proposed to do, which is the construction of the sewage and the road. So then they resolved, at the time, the minister was E.T. Mensah, to take part of the 200 million to construct the roads and the drainage system and all of that. Now, they had entered an agreement with Ghana Home Loans. And so they're going to build 1,500 as the first phase, hand over the project to Ghana Home Loans, and then the agency will now sell the building or the facility to you and I. So after we procure them, the proceeds from the sale of the 1,500 will be used for the construction of the second phase, which is another 1,500. But that did not happen. As we speak, the NPP tells us that the $200 million has been expended, and yet we do not have a complete 1,500 housing units, which should be habitable for you and I to go and occupy.
And of course, today the former Works and Housing Minister has been denying the fact that the works and the project was supposed to be in phases. He says it's untruth that that happened in that contract. We can listen to him. All right, so E.T. Mensah himself will try and get that sound bite, but he's been saying that it's not true that in that contract they agreed to do it in phases.
Yes.
And again, the 200 million was supposed to be for the entire 5,000 units, correct?
That's correct. And he was responding directly to a statement issued by the National Communication Officer of the opposition NDs, that is Sami Jenfi, who came out to outline the work agreement and made the point that the 200 million was just procurement of the loan from Parliament, but the works agreement, that is the construction of the project itself, did not need a parliamentary approval. Is the reason when Collins Dauda took over from E.T. Mensah, he restated the works agreement from 4 phases to 3 phases and that he didn't need to go to Parliament for approval. So E.T. Mensah has rejected and dismissed the claim that the construction of the project were supposed to be done in 4 phases. However, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye has on his Twitter handle posted a parliamentary Hansard, which indicates exactly what E.T. Mensah said
in Parliament
at the time they were procuring the facility or the loan for the construction of the project.
What exactly does it entail?
It was going to build this not at a go. It will be done in phases. So that is the point the NDC is dwelling on.
So that's a contradiction.
That's the contradiction that the E.T. Mensah himself, at the time in Parliament, said that the project was going to be done in phases, and that it wasn't going to be built at a go. That you get a 200 million, you go and put together 5,000 housing units. So that has been the contradiction between the NDC as a party and E.T. Mensah, who is the former Works and Housing Minister under the NDC administration.
But Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, was he able to show us part of the contract that states that the 200 million was supposed to be used for only 1,005? Or, I mean, to ascertain the truth in the fact that the 200 was not supposed to be used for 5,000 housing units, but rather 1,005, because that's what E.T. Mensah is saying, right? That the 200 million...
But the 200 million, the basis is that it was meant for the construction of 5,000 housing units. Now, as to how you get to the 5,000, according to NDC, E.T. Mensah decided to use a route that will, at the end of the day, get to the 5,000. And the route is that I'll build 1,500 first. When I'm done, I sell it off. I get the proceeds. I build another 1,500. When I'm done with that one, I sell it off. And at the end of the day, I'll achieve my 5,000. So as to however I get to the 5,000, that is my business. You're giving me 200 million to do 5,000 houses.
So whichever way I arrive at it,
that is it.
That's
the whole idea.
So this is an interesting development that we'll be following for you viewers. But when next is the court revisiting this case?
It's been adjourned to 13th October. 2021. So we are in August. So September.
In the next
October.
2 months.
So in the next 2 months, we'll go to court again to understand what is going to happen. But for now, Collins Dauda has been granted bail. But however, his passport...
Has he submitted the passport?
Yes, in fact, just before I came on air, we were told that he has already submitted his passport to the court register. So the Attorney General assured him and his lawyers that upon request of the passport, they will make it available. That will depend on what he is going to do outside the country. If they think what he's going to do will be in the interest of the nation, because he's a member of Parliament and working for Ghana, it will be released to him to go. But if not, of course, they're going to reject it. So we'll be monitoring the process going forward.
It's something that we are following with keen eyes, and we'll bring you all the updates in this case.